2 or 3 minutes of planning your painting here saves you hours of composing later on. The truth is, you do not get away from composition. You either do it up front, proactively thinking about it, or you do it in retrospect later when you go, I don't like my composition, now I got to fix it. Okay? So what I'm doing here is I've got my composition. Let's say hypothetically, I really like this composition. I'm happy with it. So the next thing I am going to do is decide what's my range of values. And that again is the lightness or darkness of the variables that are in my picture. And that is it's the value pattern. We call that the value pattern that establishes the structure of your picture. Right now it's just a line drawing, but I'm going to start to see, I'm going to look for, what's my lightest area, what's my darkest area in my painting, and what's my middle value area. And there may be any number of middle value areas in here, but essentially you want to start with those 3. So let's say my lightest area, from looking at my photo, is going to be the white of the clouds and the white of the waterfall. Again, this is aerated water. I can't tell you how many students I've had in Yosemite that paint the waterfall blue. And I say, why'd you paint the waterfall blue? And they say, well, water's blue, isn't it? I go, not necessarily. Water is blue in San Francisco Bay as it reflects the sky, but this aerated waterfall in Yosemite, I tell you, is white. Okay? So I start to see, okay, I've got these clouds in the sky that are white, and then I'm going to have my blue sky is going to be darker than that. So I just start to gently shade in with my pencil where my blue sky is. So that darkens it. Then I see how light or dark the rock is next to the waterfall. This might be a little lighter than the sky. So I put some of these segments in here. And then I look for any aberrations in the rocks, any changes. You'll see a lot of times you'll get a shadow shape, a part of the rock that goes darker because it's turning away from the light. You just look, and the information is right there in front of you. Okay? Also, there's a shadow cast on the wall by the waterfall, as well as the fact that the waterfall is wet and it wets the rock, and a wet rock appears darker than a light rock. So I'll get something like that going on. Okay? So I start to get those parts in. Then I start to see, these trees coming down this slope are darker than the rock. So I start to put these in. And I get that. Here's a tree here that's darker than the wall too. So I'll put that in at the edge of the tree. I'm seeing these leaves, so I might get a few of those in. And you fill that in, and then here's my darkest tree here in the foreground, so this is going to apply to my dark value, so I put this dark value in here. Okay, so essentially now I've worked out my design of my painting, and I've worked out the value pattern.
You want to show us the finished painting?
So this would be an approximation of this. Say I'm looking at that scene. So we're looking at